Recently, I did a video for you guys on sociopaths and psychopaths, and I really tried to differentiate between the two and stimulate conversation on what is what. Now, there's a lot of pop psychology in the world today, and a lot of people on social media self-diagnosing, really putting false information out there, getting things mixed up, and really struggling to understand what the differences are clinically, not the differences based on somebody you think had, symptoms of a sociopath, not symptoms based on forensic files that you've watched on TV, but a clear clinical picture. So I'm going to post that video up in the cards as we move along so that you can go back and look at that and really try to understand sociopaths and psychopaths from a clinical perspective. In today's video, I want to highlight some of the signs that you are likely to see within your family if you have a family member who either meets the diagnostic criteria for a sociopath or the diagnostic criteria for a psychopath. Let's jump in. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel, for all of you who are subscribed, and I welcome all of my new subscribers. Thank you so much. And for those who are new, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button right over here so that you can stick around with us and be a part of our community. And let me introduce myself briefly in case you are new to the channel. My name is Tamara, and I'm an internationally and board certified trauma therapist, but I'm also licensed in mental health, and I specialize in treating children, teens, and families, as well as adults who are dealing with trauma. Let's jump in. Psychopaths and sociopaths are pretty interesting individuals, and I think it's a little bit harder to categorize and identify a psychopath because they're often pretty cool, calm, and unsuspecting. They're really good at what they do. They're really good at deception, evil deception, lies, and really hiding. But if you're dealing with a sociopath, these individuals may be a little bit more rage prone and a little bit more impulsive. So you can kind of pinpoint what's going on with them a little bit better than you can a psychopath, right? I want you to think of a psychopath as a Ted Bundy, and think of a sociopath as somebody who is really dominating and controlling and unhealthy and prone to rage and anger outbursts and intermittent explosive episodes, right? Think of a sociopath in that way, manipulative, cheater, deception. But think of a psychopath as a Ted Bundy, as somebody who would do something such as rape and then murder, or the other way around. So they're pretty gruesome and cruel individuals, the psychopaths. So I want you to keep those two different categories and criteria in mind as we move along. Let me highlight to you what you're likely to see within your family if you're dealing with these two particular characters. Now, before we jump into that, let me just highlight that you may have an individual in your family who seems to be someone who is a sociopath, but not all sociopaths are easily identified. Sometimes, you're going to see some narcissistic traits, you're going to see some borderline personality, you may even see some bipolar disorder characteristics or some psychosis. That doesn't necessarily mean that the sociopathy, I should say, or the antisocial personality disorder doesn't exist. So let me just highlight that. I've had people come into my practice and say, you know what, I'm seeing more narcissism than I am sociopathy, or I'm seeing more bipolar than I am sociopathy. And it's like, that's not quite how diagnoses work, okay? Diagnosis is a pretty complicated and lengthy process, right? When you come into the office, especially into my practice, the one thing I'm trying to do is get to know you as a person. I want to try to understand how you come off to me, and I also go by my own internal barometer. Most clinicians do, right? What am I getting from you as I'm in your presence? And then from there, we look at symptoms and we look at patterns of behavior, and then we start our diagnostic process. Now, we may find as we move along during the diagnostic process that, okay, you're a sociopath, but you also have narcissistic traits and you also have bipolar disorder, and that is known as comorbidity. Okay, here's the definition of comorbidity right here. And the idea behind comorbidity is there's two things happening. And I put up 4 fingers, guys. I'm sorry about that. But there's actually 2 things going on there. And that's why we call it comorbidity, because a human being is pretty multidimensional, right? We can't just categorize you in one lens. We have to be able to see you outside of that one lens, So you may have narcissistic traits, bipolar traits, and sociopathic traits, and that's okay, right? It just means that you've had a lot going on in your genes, your biology, your environment, and so forth. So that's important to know as we move along. Let's go ahead and jump into these signs. Now, I'm going to give you 8 signs that this particular individual, the psychopath or the sociopath, exists within your family. Now, the first thing that you're probably going to see in an individual like this within your family is, they're going to try their hardest to get into your good graces and manipulate you. Family members are really good at that because they know that we already have our guard down, so to speak, because we're blood, right? We have been socially constructed or socially influenced to believe that family is everything. I know you've heard that before. For me, it's a little bit of a narrow perspective, right? Family is beautiful and wonderful, and it's such a gracious gift whenever it's wonderful and it's healthy and it's beautiful and it's meant to be. But for most people in today's society, family really is an unhealthy kind of a thing, because they're either, competitive, they're cold, they're not empathic, they are manipulative, cheating, schemers, deceptive, right? Some even lie. They are pathological liars. Some are even accusers, right? They're judgmental. Those kind of family members are not healthy to be a part of. But, I think when your mind is kind of wrapped around that social idea of family, that family is all you need and family is everything, right? And there's no life without family, all of those family messages are pretty narrow, right? We need to take a multi-dimensional view and approach to families. So if you're kind of wrapped up in that idea, I think it's really easy to be manipulated by family members, hurt by family members, ran over by family members multiple times because you are of the belief that family is everything, right? So our guard is already down with these family members. And so it's easy for a sociopath or a psychopath within the family to really manipulate that and get into our good graces and try to hurt us, try to steal from us, try to cheat, manipulate, lie, steal, whatever. I worked with a family over 9 years ago from Great Britain. And we did a lot of sessions together when I was providing ongoing psychotherapy overseas. And, one of the things that I learned about that family is, if they had more of a balanced view of family, they would not have become the victims of the psychopath that was in their family. This psychopath not only murdered, but he was deceptive, he was hurtful. He ended up making his family homeless at some point and really accusing them of things that just should not have ever come out of his mouth, and I'm sure you have family members like that. This particular family suffered so much. Why, you may be asking? Well, that is because these people strongly believed in the social message that family is everything, and they didn't have the ability to walk away, to pull away, and to really protect themselves. It's a very, very scary thing. So to make this short, you want to be watchful. If you have a sociopath or a psychopath in the family, that you're not getting wrapped up in that whole idea that family is everything. The next thing that you're likely to see is a family member who is straddling the fence, right? They're double-minded. A sociopath or a psychopath can't just stay narrow. They can't stay one way with you. They waver, right? One minute they're a loving family member over there, and the next minute they're against you completely. Or one minute they're on your side telling you to your face that I am with you, I support you, I am so proud of you, I encourage you to go after, A, B, and C. And then as soon as you turn your back, they're over here talking to Aunt Tiffany, right, for lack of a better example, saying, hey, can you believe she's so bent on this idea? Like, why would she even try that? She doesn't have what it takes. And like, how could she marry him? Like, blah, 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 right? So I'm sure you've had experiences with those particular family members, and they're not fun because you end up hearing about how backstabbing they are from a friend or from other family members. And it's hurtful, right? Because you expect your family, your guard is down, right? You're not defensive against your family, especially if you're wrapped up in the idea that family is everything. Your guard is down. So you're not expecting this person to show you one side of them, right? Show you one mask, and then go over there and take the mask off and really be who they really are, which is against you. And that's very, very frightening, but that's something that's likely to happen in a family where there's a psychopath or sociopath. The next thing is that they may waver between two things. They devalue you or they value you. Now, there are some family members who do waver between the two. They don't know how to, again, stay narrow and focused. They can't help it. This is who they are, whether that's a psychopath or a sociopath, right? So they devalue you. They waver between two different opinions of you. They devalue you, right? You're not who they want you to be. You don't have money. You don't have status. You don't have a nice home. You don't have a nice car. All that shallow stuff, right, that narcissists are into. If you don't have all of that, then they're going to devalue you. If you do have all of that, they're probably going to value you, but in some way devalue you again, or they're going to become envious of you, or they're going to go somewhere and try to make you fail or fall. So you want to be watchful of that. The next thing that you're likely to see is that these individuals may use their mental or behavioral health problems to manipulate. It's instrumental for them. Okay. There are some family members who truly are emotionally and psychologically going through a lot. And it's okay for them to say, look, I'm irritable today. I'm angry and I'm sorry I flipped out. I'm just not in my best frame of mind. It's okay to say that. But there are some family members who are sociopaths and psychopaths. They will utilize their mental and behavioral health problems as an instrument to demean you, to deflect, to manipulate you, to manipulate other family members all around you, to deceive, to lie, to cheat, to steal. They will utilize their mental and emotional health as an instrument. I'm sure you've seen that. If you have, let me know in the comment section below. The next thing is that, they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to kind of dominate you and try to control how you see yourself and see your life and see the world, or they're going to compete against you, right? And nothing you do they're going to be really truly proud of, because again, they're either in competition with you or they want to dominate you. Dominate you means, if you need them for rent money, if you need them for transportation, if you need them for basic necessities because you're down on your luck or you're struggling in life or whatever the case may be, right? They're going to dominate you and really try to make you subordinate or submissive. Or on the flip side, they're going to compete against you. And no matter how high you get, right? They're going to be like crabs, and they're going to climb up and pull you down if they can with their attitude, their opinions, their dispositions, whatever else. And this is a dynamic I have seen a lot of in my office. And I'm sad to say I've seen it in my own family at times, and I've also extended family, and then I've also seen it with close friends and their families. And it's like a crab syndrome, with families that compete against each other. You can't get high, and you can't stay up there and be happy and proud of yourself, and because that family member is going to crawl up like a crab and pull you back down to the bottom. So you want to be mindful of this. So psychopaths and sociopaths, they can do these things, and sometimes they enjoy it. So that's something to keep in mind. You're also likely to see triangulation and use of other family members as a pawn, right? And the pawns may be children. The pawns may be elderly parents. The pawns may be distant family members who feel excluded and want to be included. That psychopath and that sociopath is really going to try their best, right, to triangulate and use other people in the family as a pawn. If they can triangulate, right, create a triangle where there's a rescuer, a persecutor, somebody who's pointing fingers, and a rescuer, a persecutor, and a victim, that's the word I'm looking for. If that manipulator in the family, that sociopath or psychopath, can get that triangle going, they're going to conquer and divide. And that's really what they want to do. They don't want peace, right? They want to get in and create a big issue. That's how they survive in families. They're just the center of trouble all the time. Okay. The next thing is, they're going to use unfair categories against you. Divorcee, single parent with 6 children, low socioeconomic status, family member, black sheep, lost child, the mentally ill. They're going to utilize those categories to categorize you, to put you in a box, to keep you minimized, to keep you devalued, to keep you hidden from the family in a positive way. And, that is really evil and maniacal. Some do it intentionally because that's just who they are, right? And some do it unintentionally. It's the way they talk about you. It's the way that they talk to you. It's the way that they include you or exclude you from things. It is categorizing you, and it's utilizing that category to define who you are as a person. And that's another thing you're likely to see if if you're existing within a family where there's a sociopath and a psychopath, or either of the two. Okay, and last but not least, I think these individuals really use titles well. The churchgoer, the hard worker, the married woman or married man in the family. The successful one, the rescuer. They utilize these categories to their benefit, and they manipulate them. They don't, humbly step into those shoes and really be a resource for the family. They utilize those categories to devalue, to minimize, to dominate, to control, to cheat, to steal, whatever they need to do. So I want you to keep in mind, guys, as you move along in this series where we're talking about sociopathic and psychopathic family members, keep in mind that these particular individuals lack empathy. They lack the ability to put themselves in your shoes. So everything that they do has some kind of selfish gain. And they're not in your life to be a family member, to be a loving family member. They are in your life with an ulterior motive of some kind. These individuals are maniacal most of the time. They are manipulative. They are hurtful. They are also very confusing. One minute they seem like they're on your side, and the next minute they're completely against you. And it's unfathomable for you. You can't really digest the fact that they are like this. So I encourage you to share in the description box below if you've been through this, if this video was helpful, if you can relate, and I will see you in the next video. I'm going to give you some tips on how to set healthy boundaries. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.